Yahya Sinwar is a man in the shadows. Through Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, Hamas was able to inflict the biggest strategic defeat in the history of the Israeli regime. One of the main architects of this operation is Yahya Sinwar. As the elusive leader of Hamas, he has always managed to stay one step ahead of the Israeli army and intelligence agencies.
وقد حفظت قول الإمام علي رضي الله عنه وأرضاه وكرم الله وجهه: أي يومي من الموت أفر، يوم لا يقدر أم يوم قدر. إن يومين، يوم مكتوب فيه الموت ويوم مش مكتوب فيه الموت. يوم لا يقدر أم يوم قدر. يوم لا يقدر لا أرهبه، ولا حد في الدنيا راح يقدر يقتلني يوم هو مش مكتوب علي الموت. ومن المقدور لا ينجو الحذر.
Sinwar joined the Hamas movement in his youth and became the founder of a powerful security service known as Al-Majd. He spent 23 years of his life in Israeli prisons and became very familiar with Israeli culture and society. Sinwar even mastered the Hebrew language well enough to speak with his Israeli interrogators in their own language. His sophisticated understanding of Israeli society has played a significant role in Hamas's combat approach, especially in the realm of media and propaganda. Sinwar was arrested by Israeli forces in 1988 and sentenced to 4 life sentences. However, in 2011, he was released during the exchange of 1,027 Palestinian prisoners for Gilad Shalit, an Israeli soldier captured by Hamas. After his release, Sinwar resumed his security and military activities in Hamas. In 2017, he was elected as the head of Hamas political bureau in the Gaza Strip, and with the knowledge he had gained about Israelis during this time, he was able to develop a new strategy for confronting the Israeli regime. It is said that Sinwar has identified and neutralized many Israeli spies and infiltrators in Hamas ranks. Despite his important and strategic activities, Sinwar has always remained in the shadows, limiting his public appearances. This has led the Israeli regime to struggle in its efforts to find and assassinate him. To this day, many Israeli analysts, as well as his former Israeli interrogator, consider Sinwar's release as the regime's biggest mistake. Throughout the war in Gaza, finding and assassinating Sinwar has become one of the main objectives of the Israeli army, given the belief that he was a primary architect of the October 7th operation. Senior Israeli officials call him a dead man walking. However, the extensive efforts of Israel's army and intelligence agencies to find Sinwar have failed so far. Abdul Rahman, the Hamas member who was Sinwar's cellmate in Israeli prisons for a long time, says, Sinwar believed in a Quranic theory about how to fight the Zionists and always emphasized that we would act on this theory at the first possible opportunity. This theory is based on verse 23 of Surah Al-Majd.
قال رجلان من الذين يخافون أنعم الله عليهم ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون وعلى الله فتوكلوا إن كنتم مؤمنين.
In this verse, which refers to the liberation of the Holy Land by Prophet Moses, it is stated by 2 believing men addressing people who are afraid of jihad. Enter upon them through the gate, for when you enter it, you will be victorious. Based on this theory, Sinwar believed that Palestinian resistance forces should not be afraid of the Israelis and should actually attack them with force and have no doubt that upon carrying out such an attack, Palestinian resistance forces will sow fear within the Israelis and cause their internal collapse. Now, Yahya Sinwar, along with other Hamas leaders, is managing the war against the Israeli army. He is a symbol of Hamas movement's resistance and persistence against Israel's efforts to destroy this group. Relying on his security experience and knowledge, Sinwar continues to operate in the shadows and is one of the behind-the-scenes sources of power of Hamas in Gaza. With the indisputable mark that he left on the group that he joined as a young man, Hamas will continue to be a serious threat to Israel's security.